Yep.
Oh, yeah.
This was, all right, a little bit of trivia. Unlike the vast majority of Seddy Bimco films, this thing got a fucking theatrical release.
Wow.
Can you imagine going to see this?
John said it was PG-13. And I was
That's
like,
also, it's apparently it's the only Howling movie that is PG-13, and the fact that this fucking thing was PG-13 is bananas to me.
Yeah.
We had a scene of a woman giving birth to like a dog puppet.
It's Seddy Bimco Part 2, The Revenge. The show where we create revenge sequels that nobody wanted. This time, we're getting personal. Send us your credit card numbers.
All right, it's Seddy Bimco, Part 2, The Revenge. The show that daydreams about revenge sequels that were never made. And before we do anything else, we pick a wild card question, because we're going to find out who from this movie would do something odd. I'm picking it. You can hear me. It's not a fixed contest. It's number 9, which means the person from this movie is most likely to visit Mars in the sequel.
Oh, geez.
Oh, wow.
That could be anybody.
I don't know.
Well, let's see if we're up for the challenge. We'll all choose a random person to visit Mars.
And I would like to say
Yes.
that a few weeks ago, both John and Kevin Cablasto, with their revenge stories, they were very touching. And they're like, living your life well is the best revenge.
That's
I
right.
believe I did that.
Oh, did you do it? Who
I
didn't you do it, John?
specifically.
I don't, you know what? I don't remember.
But I
We
just
all
wanted
did
to-
it. We just all lived well.
Yeah,
I would like to
that's-
say yes. I believe that's the best revenge.
That is the best
but
revenge, exactly.
This show is just taking a look at pop culture, because most of our pop culture is built around revenge. All these fucking Marvel movies and Jedis. Right?
Wait, Tim, why such
Dirty Harry?
Oh, well, I love that you went from Marvel movies and Star Wars to Dirty Harry.
It's all revenge. It makes money.
Yeah. Why this heartfelt thing? Did you exact a blood revenge on somebody today?
No, I thought of that. I woke up at 2 a.m. and I thought of those stories. I just want people to know we're not advocating revenge. That's all.
It's a nice sentiment, but I am.
Oh, you like revenge.
I'm alarmed by your bringing it up this way.
And I know John likes quizzes. I made a quiz for John before we go anywhere.
Ooh. Okay, let's hear
Because
it.
John is not on Instagram. But here's what happens on Instagram, John. When Instagram is not showing me monkeys masturbating on car windows and all this stuff it shows me, once in a while, an ad from 1981 comes up. And I saw an ad for Solid Gold's top songs of 1981.
Ooh.
And they go through all the people that are going to be on the show that week. Can you name even like 2 of them that nobody remembers?
Let's see here. 1981. Okay.
I will tell you there's one band we all know of. For oddly enough, the Rolling Stones are on the show. But can you name some people?
Olivia Newton-John.
Oh my God, yes.
Okay. 1981. Let me think. Kim Carnes.
Oh yes, I forgot about her. George doesn't even know that name.
No, she sang Betty Davis Eyes, right?
The number 1 song of 1981, in fact.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know that song. I know a cover of it, but yeah.
Oh, I didn't know there. Well, actually, her version was actually a cover. Jackie DeShannon, What the World Needs Now is Love, Sweet Love. She wrote the song, and she recorded it on an album in the late 70s. And it's a totally different. It's almost got kind of like a reggae feel to it.
Well, you did pretty
good.
She
actually has Betty Davis's eyes, right? She plucked them from Betty Davis's corpse.
She did, and it was like after that last stroke, Betty Davis wasn't missing him.
The boss was on the show, John. Rick Springfield, right?
Oh yeah.
Our former studio mate Mike Cavallaro just punched the wall in a fit of rage.
Oh, come on.
We had a studio mate. He loves, like many people love the boss. Joey Scarborough was on there. Do you remember what he wrote?
The theme to The Greatest American Hero.
Wow,
Believe it or not.
He was on.
Weird. Wait. Synchronicity. Walking. I heard that song today coming out of a car, walking through the streets of Brooklyn.
Why?
My girlfriend and I were walking over to get bagels at Greenberg's Bagels on Bedford Avenue, and that song comes out. And I keep doing the exact same thing John's doing because the only lyric I know is "Believe it or not." And I'm pretty sure my girlfriend was going to break up with me because she's like, "Shut up, just shut up, just shut up." But some guy in a car is playing it. Maybe John.
Usually, you're finding people.
It was not I.
You usually find people in the street, which is not funny, but like you found like 3 people that were almost dying in the street that you had to call the ambulance on.
That has happened multiple times.
Wow.
Listening to the theme. They were on the street, on the sidewalk, dying, listening to the theme to The Greatest American Hero.
Well, they're listening to Seddy Bimco, and they're like, "Oh, this story Tim's telling." Savage diss on Tim.
And I do want to show you guys one thing. I meant to show you this for 3 weeks.
Wow, Tim just took his pants down, everybody.
My neighbors had a party.
Check that out. What? No, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Is that a boil or a carbuncle?
That's the actual. That's my
I love
actual
when you
genitals.
work carbuncle into a sentence. Anyway, go ahead, Tim. I'm interrupting you.
Carbuncle. My neighbors had a get together with food. They have a 7-year-old daughter, and she. Using popsicle sticks. She must have learned this at school. She made me into a superhero, and I'm going to describe this to our viewers. Let's see. I have hair like Beaker from the Muppets.
Yeah, I was going to say you look like Beaker.
I have a white cape like
Beaker.
I'm in the KK. I'm in the KKK, and I have a sparkly. Yeah, I guess. Does
she think she lives in the same building as Beaker?
Maybe.
Does that make?
When you go out walking Seoul, do you walk out the building going me?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why she thinks it.
Well, I accept
That's pretty
it.
cute, Tim.
Yeah. It was a fun party. But did anything happen with you guys before I talked?
I told my big story. I heard, believe it or not, coming out of a car in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
That's kind of much the high point of my week.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No, I just.
Were you? And you, yeah.
Oh no! I went up to Toronto. I went up to Toronto for a few days to see some friends.
Nice.
Went. The Sabres were playing the Maple Leafs. The Sabres lost. Sabres aren't going to make the playoffs, I fear. And then I did an open mic night with my stand-up. I haven't done that in a long time, and it went pretty well. Yeah.
Oh my God!
Nice.
I just did an open mic night when I was up there, and then
Did you mention Seddy Bimco? Did you give us a plug?
I did not.
Because show's over, everybody.
I didn't know if because I don't speak the language. I'm starting to learn the language, but I didn't know how to translate Seddy Bimco into Canadian. But
well, that's fun.
Yeah, and then of course came back here. We were pretty lucky with the snow. I got back here early Tuesday because it was like, it's going to be coming. It's going to be mixed precipitation. And really nothing happened with us. It was all kind of east of Syracuse. But like after 6 o'clock Tuesday night, we got like 8 inches. Like it came late and it came furious. Ooh. And so I spent all day yesterday shoveling out. Tim's been to my mom's house. The two driveways. Yeah. And my mother has this big metal roof. It's actually 2 roofs. It's a really big house. Yeah. But when the sun starts hitting the roof, all like the snow starts coming out. It's like an avalanche. So like every so often I hear whoosh, boom, and I have to go out back out and dig out the front steps and the sidewalk again. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of ibuprofen today.
You're bearing the lead though. You did some stand up. Are you a nervous person? Did you like not eat all day and you had to with an upset stomach to go up there? I've heard people that are nervous.
I mean, I used to get really. I always get, whenever I go on stage, no matter what I do, I have the butterflies in my stomach. And from what I understand, the day you stop having the butterflies in your stomach is the day you should stop doing it. No, there's always I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I just wonder if you stole some of my jokes. Did you go up and say,
no, I did
my
not
pants are wet, but it's not,
I did
not from urine. I did
a lot of farts and elevator jokes. Yes, I did, Tim. I did. Okay. I did a lot. They went over. They went over okay. I did a
Did you
lot.
get an award for saying?
You went up on stage. You're like, so who you think would fart in an elevator?
So who do you think would fart in an elevator?
I think the joke answer's Hitler.
Who would fart in an elevator? Justin Trudeau, Anne Murray, or Gordon Lightfoot?
I'm lost.
They're
Gotta put
I
them
think
on
they're
there.
probably all Canadians.
Yeah, they're the first three Canadians that came to mind.
I knew the first one.
Quick, everybody name the first three Canadians they could think of. I'm
Celine
gonna go
Dion.
Wayne Gretzky, Wolverine, and Sasquatch.
Any member of Second City Television. Like there's John Candy.
There you go.
Man, I forget their names. John
Catherine
Candy.
Oh, wait.
Catherine O'Hara.
Can I stop this?
Can you stop this? No,
Apparently
it's going
you
on.
are.
No, I want to stop this because
It's like a
I
nightmare.
have to stop this because wait, I just realized we're paying all this lip service to freaking Canada when we should be paying service to fucking Australia.
That's
Well,
right.
but-
Sorry.
But we did
Let's
do an
get to it.
Australian film this week.
Exactly. So this is our all Australian episode of Seddy Bimco.
That's right.
In
Okay.
honor of the fact that we are having explosive numbers
Yeah.
in Australia. People are tuning in. They're liking what they're hearing. They want to hear more. So in honor of that, we did, well, the movie, I don't know if you noticed, this movie has several different titles.
Yes.
The version we watched actually said the Marsupials Howling
Okay, so
3, but
Howling
sometimes
3.
it's called Howling 3 Marsupials.
Marsupials,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's kind of a werewolf film, and it's yeah.
Yeah. That's a segue.
Yeah. This was my movie, my choice. So I'm going to try to steer us through this plot,
That's
but I'm
okay.
going to need you all to step in because I took
We talk.
visual aid. This is 5 fucking pages of notes.
Oh.
I can't read most of these notes now.
Don't worry.
I don't know where this plot went because this movie was wide
It was
ranging.
It
wild.
was very, very short scenes. And I don't know about you all, but when I watched it, like as soon as there was an action scene, it would cut to a commercial. Like right in the middle of like the real
Yeah.
like, action. All of a sudden, you know, my son
got some of
loves the mouse thing. What's that ABC mouse thing? Anyway, I was like, really?
Yeah.
You're going to do an ad now?
So a little background. All right, so this
Give us some
is,
background.
I guess, the third movie in the Howling series of werewolves. Apparently, there's at least 6 of these films.
Right.
Oh my God.
And I guess I never kind of picked up on this, but there's kind of like a weird sex motif in all of them. Is that a thing?
I remember. I saw
I've
the
only
first one
ever
long
seen
ago.
the first one before this.
Yeah.
I think they were
And,
So
having
this is the
sex when
fir-
they changed into werewolves in the first one.
Yeah, I think it's like a sexual parable. And this is the first one, last one to get a theatrical release, which insane to me this was in theaters, but also the only one in the entire series to have a PG-13 movie, which is also shocking because I would have assumed this was not. But yeah, so a little background. It opens up with like a shot of the last surviving thylacine, aka Tasmanian tiger or Tasmanian wolf, a marsupial animal that was a predator, a naturally evolved marsupial predator of Australia. They look like dogs. They're really cute. They had the ability to open their mouths over 90 degrees, which is pretty intense.
Was that a real
Which is-
film? Or
Yeah, that's a real
CG?
famous footage.
You know what?
What?
Because I was going to be nice and not get high tonight. I got high while I watched it, and I'm like, that looks like my dog. And I'm still
does.
thinking it looks like my dog.
It does. This just looks
I'm scared
In
now.
case you were wondering what the
Whoa. Wait a second here. On our next hiatus, could we remake Howling 3 the Marsupials and use
oh my
Soul?
god,
Let's do it. We'll
Very
just
I
camera
would love
shy.
that.
we'll just change the setting from the Australian outback to Brooklyn.
But wow, that was real film because there was no CG
Yeah.
in 19. I was then I'm
No,
like,
that's
there's no
like
CG.
you can see that footage. It's from this. I think it's in St. Queensland or something. It's like this last surviving thylacine was in a zoo,
Yeah.
and like there's a couple differences of dogs. It opens its mouth up really wide repeatedly, and its back legs, like the 4-digit, is like a little bit. I mean, the last digit's a little bit longer or shorter, but like they look just like dogs. It's convergent evolution. Super cool. I love them. I've always been super curious to see this movie. And then from there, after this footage of this thylacine, we cut to like the fucking weirdest footage of a bunch of like Australian Aborigines just kind of smiling as they're like standing around the dead body of like the fakest looking werewolf I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And at this point, what was that? And I texted Tim at this part. I'm like, I'm only like 10 minutes in, and this is the best movie I've ever seen. And I feel like I kind of jumped the gun, but I'm also kind of like,
it was fun.
I did like this movie.
I did too. It was campy.
And I'm gonna,
was campy.
And there was parts that I was trying to explain this to my girlfriend. I'm like, so this was definitely a terrible movie, and it was all over the place, even within the movie of its quality. But there were some parts I'm like, that's pretty good.
Yeah, but
then it's also bewildering.
You know what I like about movies like this? It's a bad movie, and all the people involved, the actors, they know it's a bad movie. Like they're all in on the joke. Is my sense of it, and I love movies like this.
Especially the man, because we soon meet a man who's obviously supposed to be Alfred Hitchcock, and you could tell he was just having a fun time pretending to be Alfred Hitchcock. Well, I'm getting ahead of you. Sorry.
Well, yeah, so, I mean, boy. So let me see if I can read my own handwriting here. So we see this weird bit of this footage, and then it cuts to this guy named Beckmeyer. And I guess he's our main character. So it's a little hard to decide. And Beckmeyer is this British guy who is like, I guess he's like a proto Mulder from the X-Files.
Right.
He just talks about weird stuff. He keeps mentioning UFOs and things. And he's like, this footage is, something my grandfather created in the outback of Australia before he went disappearing. The mask is so realistic. We don't know how it was made, because they're assuming the werewolf being killed is a mask. And like, it's not so realistic.
Well, it seems like all the governments of the world know about werewolves. That's what the basic plot is. Like, they're like,
I forgot. Werewolves. There's an opening sequence, too, where like, because it goes actually, you're right. I totally forgot a whole scene.
Reagan's in it.
Immediately after we see this black and white footage of the Australian Aborigines killing this werewolf, we cut to like a dude in Siberia, I guess in modern day.
That's right.
And he runs to a door and screams, "Ah!" and dies, I guess. And then we cut to like nothing to do with anything. But then we cut to these two dudes in America, and they're like, we just intercepted another thing about a werewolf killing in the Soviet Union.
I think that was supposed to be Reagan and like agent. Right, John? That was supposed to be Reagan. It was 83.
What?
The actor was acting like Reagan, looked like Reagan, as best as they could do.
Oh, okay, yeah, because but everyone's just there is a character in this movie who is the U.S. president. They do a cute bit. I thought the bit when we see he's talking to Beckmeyer, Beckmeyer and the president. The president's hanging out just in a robe for some reason, which is kind of creepy. And there's like this low camera filming them, and they just turn to the camera, look at it, and they're like, how long is that going to be filming us?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you're the president. Everything films you. I'm like, oh, okay. I see this movie. I see what you're doing. I don't know.
Because they even talk to the Pope. The Pope is like, you got to take care of these werewolves. I'm like, what? The Pope is in on this? Do you notice that? They talk the Pope a lot.
Yeah, we didn't see the Pope, though, right?
No. But he seems to be involved.
So, I don't know. Beckmeyer gets sent by the president to check out. Somehow, okay, I'm definitely going to lose the thread here.
It's okay. Soon. We go to Australia, and there's a village of wild people.
Why does he go to Australia when there's a report of a werewolf being killed in the Soviet Union?
That didn't make sense.
And
because there's a ballerina from the Soviet Union that defected to Australia, and I think they know she's a werewolf. They suspect.
Well, that's the part I understand. So this is what's weird. Beckmeyer, one of his colleagues, go and they're watching a ballet in the Sydney Opera House, and there's this woman who spends the entire movie making the most insane faces.
Yes,
she's a ballerina named Olga, and she just on stage starts turning into a werewolf and like kills her partner. But everybody's super surprised because, well, do we know why at this point yet?
Yeah, flashing lights.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if that was established.
We established, I forget too, but I think we established that with the young girl who went to a party.
Right, they went to the rap.
Oh my God. I totally forgot to mention the character. What's her name? Jaboa,
yeah.
Oh,
Jaboa, that's it. Yeah, so at the same time, then there's, oh my gosh, folks, we're not going to be able to.
Well, there's a village. There's a village of werewolves.
There's a village in the outback led by a guy named Thilo. Remember Thylacine? That's your big clue. And they just kind of, he's the most Australian-looking man who's ever lived.
But he looks like Paul Meany from Star Trek.
He did, actually. He looked like he was in the background of a Mad Max movie. And they're like hanging out these human skulls, and there's a woman whose sweater is just all holes.
Right.
And Jaboa is there, and she's this very attractive young woman, and I guess she's maybe our main character in addition to Beckmeyer.
Yes.
And she leaves home, and they play this as a joke. Somebody asked her, why didn't you like home when she's on a bus leaving?
Yeah.
Like there's just some priest, and she goes, my stepfather tried to rape me and he's a werewolf. And he's like, okay then.
And he rolls his eyes. He's like, oh well. Nutty
so
woman.
She takes a bus. She goes to I couldn't understand most of her dialogue. She had this accent, and she's living in a park in Sydney. Mm-hmm. Muggers come up to her, she says something. I don't know. They run away. She growls.
Yeah, she grows.
Then this American dude just sees her. He pulls up in a sports car and he chases her like she's running around barefoot. He's like, "Let me get you shoes," and he makes her become an actor.
Yeah, I wanted to yell though. Did you find yourself yelling when he pulls the car in? When he parks the car, I wanted to yell to him, "Your steering wheel's on the wrong side."
Wait, was it?
I didn't notice that. I was looking at his nice car.
Right hand drive, like in the UK.
Yeah, I know. They were crossing the Opera House. Nice Opera House.
Yes.
Yep.
You know this Opera House?
So I think everybody knows the Sydney Opera House, Tim. It's like it's the shorthand. You show like a kangaroo and the Sydney Opera House, and they're like, you're in Australia.
Yeah, it's like every movie made in Paris has a view of the Eiffel Tower. Every window in Washington D.C. has a view of the Capitol. Yeah, it's just like a trope, a cliche. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is.
I was gonna make a lot of hairy jokes, but you know what happened?
What?
I typed in hairy celebrities to Google. You know what comes up? All women.
Me.
No, all women. It's just like Miley Cyrus. Look, she didn't shave her underarms. This other celebrity, look, there's hair on her belly button. Honestly, it was every
That's
woman.
a fetish.
I know. I didn't type in fetish. I just said hairy celebrities.
But that's who's looking it up. Yeah.
Jeffrey Jones was the only guy that came up because he taught several teenage boys to shave him. So, but I didn't want to make any hairy jokes.
I don't know if that's a joke.
Jeffrey Jones. You know who Jeffrey Jones is?
We know. Yes, we know. He's the principal from
He got arrested. He got arrested.
Yep, and he's a molester. He's a molester. But nothing like a little molesty humor.
I didn't make any hairy jokes. Let's move on. Speaking
of hairy, though, Jaboa, we'll get back to that. Hairy. But so the American guy, like, I don't know, he was kind of a nothing actor. He's very pretty, beautiful blue eyes.
Danny Martin.
Danny
Martin
did the
Doc Martin
Danny
family.
Martin.
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. He created the Doc Martin shoes. Danny Martin. Let's go on.
Again, folks at home, I don't know if Tim is lying or not.
John,
he takes
Yeah, I know it's a joke.
Okay. He chases Jaboa down through the park. She asks him, weird, this was a joke I didn't get. Maybe one of you can explain it to me. Does it snow in the Sydney Opera House?
Yeah, because when we first see her in the village of Flo, she has a snow globe with the Sydney Opera House in it.
Oh, I missed it. I missed it.
John, you were paying attention in this movie.
John was into this movie.
Wow. Honestly, like I said, this got a theatrical release. This puts it ahead of 90% of the movies you watch in this show.
Oh, the city.
This isn't
yeah. Sorry.
This was good.
The city.
So then he takes her to go. The city of Flo.
I'm sorry. I gotta try not to talk over other people. Also, City of Flo. How long did it take you to figure out what that meant? Did you figure it out?
I hate to say it. Is it a period reference?
No.
What
is flow backwards?
Wolf.
Oh!
Later in the film, end of the film, I was like, flow backwards.
I never got that.
I got it right away.
I didn't get it right away.
I think this says something about our respective intelligences that John got immediately.
But John loves
Tim got it at the end of the film. I never got it.
Intelligence is just.
And I'm like, is it a period joke?
Period flow.
George is known for his period jokes.
And Flo, you know that one. So after she gets chased down by the Doc Martin guy, which may or may not be a joke, he takes her to work on the movie he's working on with the previously mentioned off-brand Alfred Hitchcock. They're doing a movie called Shapeshifters 8, which is conveniently a werewolf movie. And she keeps making cryptic remarks like, Oi, that's not how we transform into wolves, is it? That's my Australian accent. Won't be repeated again. Sorry, Australian
Not too shabby. I mean,
Oi, I'm drinking.
Oi.
I'm drinking a Foster's here.
Did you actually notice there actually was a character who pops up and says, "Oi, throw another shrimp on the bobby"?
Oh yeah, I noticed.
I just wrote down Australian stereotype appears. So Jaboa and Doc Martin immediately fall in love. She gets cast as like one of the actors in this werewolf movie. They fall in love. They go back to, I guess, his place and have sex.
They just sweat.
Sweaty. Very
They're
sweaty
melting,
sex. You
just
are
like
right.
that guy from What Happened to Rosemary's Baby. There he was sweating with that guy.
Just all
This was in every movie we watch, there's a super sweaty person. Because like in the elevator, there was the super sweaty guy. Yeah. These were the sweatiest two people we've seen because they just finished having sex. But he's like, he tries to get her to take off her bra. He's like, we take that off. She's like, no. Because it's like weird underwear sex. But when she falls asleep after they do it the second time, he's kind of looking at her, and she's got like, you know, when Tim is typing in Harry celebrities, I'm sure Jaboa came right up because she's got full on blonde fur all over her belly.
She's like Miley Cyrus.
Like Miley Cyrus. And unlike Miley Cyrus, she has what seems to be an enormous C-section scar across her belly. And he's like looking, he's like, and then we just leave that part.
Does she have a nightmare in that one, or is that later? I forget.
There is a nightmare where like
it's not there.
Something happens. I don't know. And then back in the town of Flo, aka Wolf, a bunch of nuns leave it, but they're actually people from the town of Flo who we know. I mean, I don't know why I'm being coy about this. Like she literally says, "My stepfather is a werewolf."
Yeah.
They're werewolves. They're on the same bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a funny bit because they are werewolves dressed like nuns later on. That
part, I couldn't believe I was seeing that when that part happened. Because they're having a party to wrap up Shapeshifters 8. There was a scene where they see a weird movie, another werewolf movie that was just odd. Right. I don't know. There's a lot going on. Yeah. That was weird. There's movies within movies within movies in this.
Yes.
And then they're having this costume wrap-up party for the filming of Shapeshifters 8. And like these 3 nuns show up who have the most ridiculous wolf faces, hairless wolf faces, and they're like literally like raising their eyebrows and going, "Yeah, how you doing?" And they go in, and I guess they wreak havoc. And
we should say that it seems like some of these people can change into werewolves when they want to, and also if flashbulbs go off, they are forced to change into werewolves.
Yeah,
they never explain it, but
and also each time they change, it's like. They don't consistently take the same form.
No.
We see people we see like the same werewolf transform a couple times. And like one time they might be like kind of a gray wolf, and one time there might be a weird hairless wolf. It's remarkably inconsistent what the wolves are.
Right.
These nuns show up, they create some havoc, they kidnap Jaboa back to the town of Flo, and the boy who falls in love with her, Doc Martin's like, "Oh, I got to find." Wait, no, he's American. I got to find her.
Oh, wait.
And so he goes out to.
It's not.
I forgot.
It's not that important, but the government does capture her, and she like gets loose, and they kill a lot of doctors and kill a lot of hospital people.
Finally, somebody died because it was like a half hour that scene, and I was like, "Is anybody going to die?" Because I don't know if anybody died up to that point.
Wasn't much blood, but a lot of people died.
There's like all these bodies all over all these bodies
with no blood. You're right.
There wasn't much blood.
There was a little bit, but not.
And we don't see it. They're just all dead. Yeah, I forgot that part. There's a lot of weird stuff. Like there's just bits where hunters are hunting them, and then like maybe like there's these really dandy soldiers who are wearing white gloves and literally go skipping with guns. Like
those are the Americans, I think.
Yeah, I think they were. So here's the part that's important, and this is the most shocking moment of the entire scene. Back in the town of Flo, they're having like one of their weird rituals where they're just playing in the middle, like a pile of bones in the middle of the town. And Jaboa kind of skulks off into a barn, and she's all like kind of sweaty, and her eyes are big, and she pulls up her dress, and we're spared.
Naked. She's naked.
She's completely naked, but covered with blonde fur, so we can't see anything. And from a sideways view, in this PG-13 movie, this actor gives birth to a weird little
guinea pig.
Yeah, it's like a little, it looks like a little guinea pig or gerbil, like when you would see.
That's what I thought. And that's immediately what I thought.
Yeah. Well, Jim Henson took a break from filming the Black Cauldron, or what was it?
And
he went and helped
the Black
build this
Cauldron.
Muppet. The Black Cauldron? No, the other one.
There's no way Jim Henson.
Dark Crystal. Dark Crystal. He came over and helped them.
This is so sub Jim Henson.
He did.
It's
back me up, John.
No.
He did. Okay. Back me up, John. Jesus. Remind me. Do you get into a lot of bar fights, Tim? Because if you get into a lot of bar fights, I am never going into a bar in Brooklyn with you. Hey, John, back me up here. You're like, oh, no.
I do have something. I have a question.
Yep.
I have a couple of these. It's a quiz for this episode. People who are shaved werewolves or are unwrapped mummies. So Rudy Giuliani, which is he?
Unwrapped mummy.
I was going to say unwrapped mummy. Yep.
I say he's a shaved werewolf the way he shouts.
No, he's
wrong.
No.
You're wrong.
Okay.
Tim's wrong.
Mitch McConnell.
He's actually a creature from the Black Lagoon.
Oh, he's an unwrapped mummy. Come on.
No.
Right. Go ahead. He's
I was going to say I would say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle myself, but
without
the
unshell.
Unshell.
You're right.
Yeah.
John, you're right. How'd you know that I had that as the answer? Unshelled Teenage Mutant
I knew
Turtle.
it was a trick question.
Hero and a no shell, and he's not a hero. All right, who else, Tim?
No, go on. I want to spread these.
All right. So after this naked woman has a weird puppet crawl from between her thighs, it crawls up the fur in her belly and goes inside that sea scar, which, you guessed it, it's a fucking pouch because
she's a marsupial.
These are not werewolves, they're werethylacines. Now we're forgetting a whole bunch of shit because there's a Russian lady. She's a different type of werewolf where like when she transforms, we actually see she has 6 boobs because she is a placental mammal. She's got boobs. And so she grows extra boobs, but at some point she shows up in this town too, and she marries Thylo.
Right.
And who's the leader of the thylacine werewolves. And they're all marsupials. And the baby is Doc Martin's kid because they've mentioned when she's briefly controlled by the government that they have super fast metabolisms and you're probably the dad. So
because they talk to him, the government talks to him like, did you have sex with her? They're like, was it normal?
What was it? And he's
was it right?
Clearly.
Well, I mean, we might have had a little anal. What are you asking? No.
jeez. What do you?
Well, I was thinking, do you think they were subtly kind of show that his character was a virgin? Because it clearly wasn't normal. Like she was covered with fur.
Yeah, how could you not?
And I think he's like, I'd never seen a naked lady before.
Unless he was in New York for Fleet Week a lot, but anyway.
Boy. So
he heads off to find her, though. That's what happens. He heads off to find her, and
he ends off to find her, and he runs into her seconds after she gives birth. And because she's a marsupial, giving birth is it's like farting. It's like the baby's so little it doesn't matter. They run off into the woods, and somehow or another, the government's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And the government shows up because the Pope, like Tim mentioned before, the Pope says, kill the werewolves. They're like, okay. And the Russian werewolves there too. And there's not really an action scene. They just show up but these guys escape and I don't know. I'm lost.
There's a man guiding them and he's like, oh no, the big werewolf is here. What was he called? He was like, they summoned a werewolf spirit and the
Oh, are you talking to the guy Kendi? He's the one that actually says...
He's the guy, and he's like, oh, no, let's go turn back. This is bad. They're like, we're not turning back now. We got our guns. That's not how they talk.
I think we're skipping a whole bunch of scenes, though.
Man,
I'm sorry. I think we need to.
This movie was a mess.
Well, it was fun. It was a lot like the Rosemary's Baby movie we watched last week. There were a lot of short, clippy scenes, and they were just going back and forth. And I don't know, is this what the film editor had to work with, really? There's only 30 seconds of this scene really worth putting in the film. So it just kept going back and forth, and it got a little...
It's just important to say that man...
Yeah.
I forget
There's a lot going on.
There's one man who's like, we don't need to kill them, do we? But the military's like, yes, we need to kill them. And I forget his name. Yeah. The name you mentioned earlier. He's the guy who's like...
Beckmeyer.
Beck.
He wants to kiss them and everything.
Yeah. There's that weird scene when they're interrogating the Russian lady and he's like,
Maybe I could.
I'm like, Beckmeyer is very inappropriate. He's like laying on her when they capture her, and then he's like almost kissing her when she's strapped in. And this woman mugs like I've never, like she has big old teeth and just is rolling her eyes all weird. There's a lot of shit that happens. And also, I mean, honestly, this isn't even an exaggeration. The events of this movie span 20 years.
That's right. Wow.
Because it's like people make fun of like the Return of the King for having too many endings. This movie like did not end.
No, it didn't.
Yeah.
Because...
And they capture the leader, and he turns into a big cat, like he's in a cat outfit, like from Cats, the musical. Remember, they hit him with strobe lights, and he turns into a big cat.
Yeah, that's when they fully establish strobe lights turn them into... That activates the thing. They interrogate the guy Thilo, the most Australian-looking man in the world, for a long time. He turns into a thylacine. They're like, he's got stripes, just like a thylacine.
Mm-hmm.
And how does he escape?
Well, they... everybody that gets locked up in the hospital kills a bunch of people. He throws them out the window,
escapes,
right?
Yeah.
Somebody gets
thrown out the
window.
No, that's how the Russian lady throws somebody out the window. That's hilarious because it's like we follow that body the whole time. It's going, I'm just going to cut to like kind of the end. The end.
Wait, before you get to the end, George, I have a question.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Don Knotts, shaved werewolf or unwrapped mummy?
Unwrapped mummy.
No, he's a shaved werewolf that they shocked with a shock collar. That's Don Knotts.
Jeez. Okay. All right. Who else?
Boris Johnson.
Werewolf.
It's a trick question. He just has sex with unwrapped mummies.
That's...
All right, go ahead.
So I'm definitely skipping a lot of stuff, but at some point we have Jaboa, who is the lady with her weird puppet dog baby, and Doc Martin, who is the American guy that she fell in love with it, and Beckmeyer, who is the scientist, and Olga, who is the Russian ballerina, and Thilo are all on the run with Kendi, who we barely mentioned, who is an Australian Aborigine who actually says, put a shrimp on the bobby.
Yes.
They're being chased by hunters. Don't really know why the hunters are after them, but Kendi's like, I'm going to call the wolf spirit, because I guess Kendi's a werewolf. We don't really know this at this point. Yeah. He dresses up in full, like, Dreamtime Aboriginal paint, becomes a werewolf or summons a werewolf.
Well, later he's like, the werewolf got in me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's really weird. I'm not really sure if he was a werewolf before this thing, but he kills all these hunters. Yeah. But then also the military's after them. And so they find Kendi and he's laying there and he's like, oi, the werewolf got in me. And he dies. Up his body. So they have a funeral and then the smoke calls the army over. Mm-hmm. And then his skeleton, which is a wolf, comes alive and attacks the soldiers who blow it up.
That was kind of cool.
That was actually kind of cool
idea. Zombie dead werewolf.
Zombie like skeleton werewolf. And then Thilo stays behind. Thilo is the leader of the Australian werewolves, and he prays to like the thylacine god, because it turns out the reason you become a werewolf is like a dead wolf spirit gets in your body or dead thylacines, and he becomes a big one. That's what he's like, make me a big one. Yes. And we never really see him, but one of the soldiers is in his tent with a bazooka, because he sleeps with a bazooka, and this giant puppet head comes in and is like, roar, and he blows it up with a bazooka, and we guess that's the end of everybody.
What was that team? Because early in the film, they're like, we're sending in our something team, like our elite team.
I don't know.
They were Sub-Aqua team. I think they said Sub-Aqua team.
Sub-Aqua team. That's why they're so bad.
Yeah.
They were terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, man, so then what happened? Oh, so then you think we're in the end part of the movie, right?
Right.
But we're not. Olga decides
the end part.
No,
one.
we're not. Because then Olga, the Russian ballerina, who's a werewolf, like I guess she's like she was married to Thilo, but she's like, I'm in love with Beckenmeyer now, and they like live by them. They go live with Jaboa and Doc Martin and their puppy, who's now a human. And
he's got a little tail. He's got a little tail. They always show it.
I didn't catch that. Wait, really? He has a tail?
Yes, you didn't see it? They kept showing it.
Nah, that's funny. And years pass, and they have a kid. So, like, Olga and Beckenmeyer have a kid, and Jaboa and Martin have a kid, and it's getting older. And after a few years, they're like, well, we're going to move to the city, and they leave. And then the people just get older. And then Beckenmeyer's old assistant finds him. He's like, guess what? We're not killing werewolves anymore. He's like, you know what? That's great. I'll come back into civilization, become a teacher again.
George, can I interrupt?
Yeah.
Again, it's the Pope. This weird world the Pope announces. It's okay if you're a werewolf. Didn't you think that was odd?
You're right.
Yeah.
It was weird. Yes, this was a very Catholic
If you're
movie.
gay, it's still bad. But werewolves, they're okay.
Yeah.
Werewolves. It's weird that they actually said that. Yeah.
You can eat meat on Friday. Werewolves are okay. Homosexuals, nuh-uh.
Actually, you're totally right. There was that one fucking outrageous joke. Do you remember this towards the end?
No.
After Beckenmeyer has gone back, he's disappeared. He's in love with Olga the vampire. His assistant is reporting to the president, who's possibly Reagan.
Yeah.
And he's like, what happened to Beckenmeyer? He's like, he fell in love with one of the werewolves. And there's
that's
a
right.
beat. And the president's like, the werewolf's a woman, right? And he's like, yes. He goes, well, thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? So anyway, literally 20 years pass. And as we grow up with Beckenmeyer, Olga, and their kid, Beckenmeyer becomes a professor again. It's like we saw at the beginning. And he shows that same video of the phony-ass baloney thing being stabbed in the thing. And he's like, and I never saw my friends again. And then this, like, wooden fucking terrible actor stands up. He's like, they're all dressed in orange, too. I thought they were, like, in a prison, maybe. I don't know. It's very weird.
Thought at first.
And he's like, yeah. And he's like, I'm Jaboa's kid. And it's like, I haven't seen you since years. They hug and they're like so happy. And it turns out that Martin became a famous director whose name was like Steven Spielbergo. And Jaboa became this famous actor who is she's actually receiving an award that night on TV. And this is still going on. This is I'm like, this is never ending. And then fucking Dame Edna appears.
Yes.
And she's the presenter and she gives an award to this to Jaboa, who's now this actor. And she's on stage accepting the award, and everyone's taking photos of her. And if you remember,
strobe lights,
the flash bulbs make her turn into a werewolf, and she turns into a werewolf on TV, and I guess kills everybody. And they show various people's reactions, and they show Beckeridge's assistant laughing, going, "Oh, how delightful!" And then the movie finally ends.
Finally. And there was a weird scene showing them as actors and director. He was a director, and he's like, "This scene needs more sex," and she's like, "More sex? You always think it needs more sex." And he goes, "That's what it means. It's always about sex." And I'm like, "Was that them? Was that the married couple?"
That was supposed to be them in their process. Wow,
it was weird. It had nothing to do.
All right. I just need to say to anybody listening to this, you're like,
you should
wow,
watch
they
it.
did a really bad job of like encapsulating this movie.
We did.
I don't think we did. This is really the movie. I totally recommend seeing this, but it's a mess.
It's a world where the Pope is really concerned with werewolves and he's not paying attention to all the pedophilia going on in the church.
Right.
So,
it's a smokescreen.
It's a smokescreen.
No, seriously.
Tim, that's probably our world.
This is probably our world.
How can we distract from pedophile priests? Let's talk about werewolves.
Let's say werewolves are okay. We've come to peace with the werewolves.
Oh, all right.
Oh,
did I forget any points that we need to mention, especially for everybody's revenge theme sequels?
Yes. Ernest Borgnine, shaved werewolf or unwrapped mummy?
Oh, shaved werewolf. Yeah.
Come on, he's got the ball.
It's a trick question. He's an unshaved werewolf.
He's an unshaved werewolf.
He's an unshaved werewolf.
Nice. Well done, Tim.
How about Dan Quayle? My last one, Dan Quayle.
Stick up the ass. I don't know. Let's see here.
Yeah, he's neither.
Oh, you're close. It's a trick question. He's a shaved marsupial. Sorry. That's it. That's all the points I want to get in. Anything else?
We did see a dong in this movie. I was pretty shocked.
We did.
Didn't. I
didn't.
Yeah, when we first introduced Olga, she's got like this weird like husband who turns out he's also a werewolf, and he goes nuts in the scene where she gets attacked and he gets shot and dies. And when he turns back, there's a bloody naked man laying on the floor with his little bloody ding dong out.
Oh, I missed it.
No, I didn't see.
I was pretty shocked.
I remember that scene. Are you sure it was a ding dong?
Not
could have been a weird marsupial flap.
It could have been like an uncut umbilical cord. Maybe it never fell off his belly button.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a marsupial.
Those doctors were always eating hot dogs, too. I think they just dropped one.
They just dropped one on the floor.
Those doctors were eating hot dogs the whole movie. That didn't make sense either. Did you not see that?
I did not.
All right.
Tim, was that real? Were they really eating hot dogs?
Yeah.
Don't ask questions like that, George. Just don't ask.
I know. Why do I ask?
Why
Tim, because you are
encouraging.
You are inherently deceitful.
It's revenge time. It's revenge time.
Wherever you are, wherever you're hiding, I'll find you. I'll get you.
Revenge.
Revenge.
Revenge. One of us will die. One of us will die.
I will not let Cindy take my place.
I will have my revenge.
Mars. Who's going to go to Mars from this movie? Which has nothing to do with it.
I am going to say the director Jack Citron from
good job writing his name down.
From Shapeshifters 8.
He's the Alfred Hitchcock guy?
Yes.
Okay.
He cannot get funding for Shapeshifters 9. However, and I'm going to go back in the Seddy-verse. There was a little holiday film we did called Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. And Bromar and Gurmar are watching Earth TV on their little black and white set. And, of course, one of the most popular things from Earth that is hot on Mars is the Shapeshifters series. So he comes to Mars to make Shapeshifters 9.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And they kidnap him?
They do have to kidnap him. But yeah, they kidnap him, and but he's happy to be there. And
really, with all that,
movie, maybe he'll just stay on Mars and make Shapeshifters 10. I don't know.
I don't want to shame him for being. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Go ahead.
No, I'm done.
I don't want to shame him for being overweight, but I don't think he'll like that modern furniture they had on Mars. Remember, it was like all
the Danish modern furniture.
Danish modern.
Well, then so then what will happen is that like the Martian who became the Santa Claus of Mars, they will take Jack Citron back, and a Martian will become the Jack Citron of Mars and make Shapeshifters 10.
I also feel like I need to step in. Jack Citron, a.k.a. off-brand Alfred Hitchcock, while the dude had nothing even remotely approaching a chin, he was actually kind of fit. We see him dancing a lot at the party, so I think he could fit into some pretty small and tight furniture.
Maybe.
Just had no chin. Yeah.
Maybe.
Jack Citron, we love you.
We do love you, Jack Citron, if you're even still with us.
I'm sure he's not.
So. You're going next?
Can I go next?
Yeah.
I'm going to say it was Kendi, the guy who he was the Australian Aborigine who is maybe a werewolf, definitely is a zombie werewolf.
Oh.
When we see him and like after he evokes the spirit of the thylacine or whatever, and he turns into a werewolf or makes a werewolf kill the hunters, and he's laying there transfixed. What you all don't realize is he was pulling a page from John Carter of Mars. He didn't die. He actually sent his consciousness using his strange magics, the same magics that made him maybe become a werewolf. He went to Mars. And when he was on Mars, he hung out with these like big-breasted, like red-skinned women, and there was like these aliens with 4 arms and stuff, and I think there were gorillas with 4 arms. Everything had 4 arms, and he was able to jump really far. He was just John Carter of Mars, and he had grand adventures.
Did he establish a town of Flo?
He established the town of, let me write down thylacine really quickly and see what it looks like backwards.
Oh,
yeah. He established the town of Inikhalhit. And, yep.
That's actually Klingon. Sorry.
Yeah, it did sound like Klingon.
I thought it was Gaelic, but anyway, Klingon Gaelic.
Well, you know what? You're both right. He became a fucking Gaelic Klingon.
All right.
It was just, it was insane. Yeah, that's all I got. I got nothing. Yeah, that's it.
Wow. You guys are good.
Well, thank you.
We're always good, Tim.
You always, yeah. I think.
Yeah, we're the best.
So I think from this movie, the person that made it to Mars in this movie was the Pope we never saw.
Oh.
He was really into werewolf mythology, knew all about werewolves. I think he was actually secretly a shapeshifter of some sort. And when he died, they took his body and mummified it, and they sent it to Mars.
Wrapped or unwrapped?
Wrapped. They sent it to Mars wrapped.
Okay.
Because it was a conspiracy within the Catholic Church. They actually worshipped. What were these called, George?
What?
What were these called?
Thylacines.
There was a cult of Thylacines within the church, and they took him to Mars to worship him, the new astronauts on Mars. See, they kept his body frozen for like 100, how many years? 60 years until they went to Mars. And he became a new god on Mars to the Mars astronauts. That's all I got.
Right. Well,
that's a hard one.
Oh my God.
Well, then he also uncovered, because you know how there was like Paul's letter to the Corinthians and Paul's letter to the Ephesians? What the Pope took with him was Paul's letter to the Thylacines.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah,
nice.
See?
It said, go forth, multiply, and have pouches.
All
right, who wants to do the revenge movie?
You know what? I'll lead off because I did choose this movie.
Yep.
And I actually had to look up this character's name just now because as you heard from this people, it was pretty hard to keep a coherent narrative. There were so many characters coming in and out. But one of the characters who I feel like was a constant, and he kind of did drive the extended ending into place, was Beckmeyer's assistant, who was a guy named Professor Sharp. And see, what's interesting about this revenge movie, the Howling 3 Marsupials, the revenge movie made of this, is that it's not like additional events happen. It's just a scene that we see behind. We realize that this entire movie has been Professor Sharp's revenge movie. Sometime prior to the events of this film, Professor Sharp lost his poodle to a werewolf attack. He was out walking the poodle one day. Yeah, it was pretty sad.
What was his name?
Little Scoopkins. It was a mini. Little Scoopkins was in the park. Yeah, it was really sad. And you know what's even worse? This is to make it more tragic. He had just taken little Miss Scoopkins to get her hair dyed, so she was a bright candy pink. She looked like a little cotton candy, and Professor Sharp's whole world was dependent on this. And he was taking her for a walk outside of Vatican City because, of course, he was a good Catholic, when suddenly he heard a howling, and this werewolf came out of nowhere and grabbed little Scoopkins and shook her until she fell apart like soft bread in water.
Oh, poor Scoopkins. Oh, this is sad. This is super sad. Parts of Scoopkins splashed all over his new cardigan that his mother had knit for him. Oh, no. It was a real traumatic event. Yeah. He had to throw that cardigan away because he couldn't even bear to look at it anymore. She finished knitting it on her deathbed and everything. Oh, this is a very sad movie.
She was the last of her actual hair. She was shaving her own hair. I know.
Jeez.
And he threw it away. So this activated the revenge in Sharp. But he, like all good revengists, and you know about revenge. We know about revenge because we do a podcast about revenge. Yeah. He's like, this is a dish that's best served cold. He swears he's going to eradicate werewolves, but he knows the thing about werewolves, they can bite new people. They come. You have to get them at the source. So what he knows is he has to turn public opinion against them. He talks to the Pope. The Pope's like, yeah, kill them all. But so this sets the thing in motion. All the events in motion that we know happen. He befriends Beckmeyer. They go into the outback. They have this crazy adventure. Beckmeyer falls in with Olga and everything. Sharp falls by the wayside. And then he waits a few years. And then he just decides one day, I'm going to tell those dumb fucking idiots that the Pope changed his mind about werewolves. Guess what? He didn't. The Pope still wants to kill the werewolves. Yep. So he's like, hey, everybody, guess what? It's fucking okay now to be a werewolf. And Zach, the son with the tail, he believes him. He goes and he tells Beckmeyer. And Beckmeyer and Olga come back with, I think they have a daughter. And everybody comes back. And then Professor Sharp uses his connections in Hollywood. Turns out his mother was Dame Edna. And Dame Edna reads the wrong fucking name at the Academy Awards.
Just like Moonlight and La La Land. Oh my gosh.
Exactly. Just like Marissa Tomei winning the Oscar. And she reads the wrong name on purpose. And the name she reads is that of Jaboa, whatever the fuck her name is. I think it's Loretta Carson.
Oh.
Jaboa. No, that's her real name, but her actor name. Uh-huh. And he knew, because this is what would happen. And we even see this in the movie, because she turns into a werewolf and attacks people on the stage. And we see the shocked and horrified reactions of the myriad of other characters. But we do see Professor Sharp laughing.
That's right.
Because now werewolves are revealed to the world at large. And the Pope is going to strap on his holy hand grenades and his holy guns, and he's going to lead the extinction against werewolves. And that's why people don't realize this is a true story. That's why there's no werewolves, because of Professor Sharp.
Wow.
And the movie was called...
What's it called?
Children of a Lesser God. Yeah, I never saw that movie. Turns out this is what it's about. Yeah.
I never saw it either. Yeah. So I believe
Yeah, nobody has.
See, I thought it was. Remember, like Abraham Lincoln's Zombie Hunter? I thought it would have been like Pope Pius XII, Werewolf Hunter. No, okay. Children of a Lesser God. Nope. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, because nobody's ever seen that movie, really. We all know it exists, but like, who's going to watch that movie? It sounds boring. No, it's about killing werewolves. Go see Children of Lesser God, everybody. The sequel to Howling 3, The Marsupials, the Revenge Theme sequel.
I thought it was going to be Chariots of Fire. No one ever saw that either.
Yeah, but that had that song.
Yes. That's what they played when they killed the werewolves.
You're right, slow motion.
Yeah.
They ran down the beach and stabbed them with pine cones.
But at least the gays were safe. He was busy killing werewolves. They were safe for a few years.
For the time being. For the time being. Oh, they were coming back to him. They always do.
You know, he did go after the gay werewolves first.
Of course.
Yeah, they had 2 strikes against him.
Well, do you want me to do mine, John, or you want me? Are you still writing yours?
I'll do mine. Mine is not quite as involved as George's, though. Okay, so mine is I don't really even have a title for it. I didn't even think to come up with a title for it. But basically,
Chariots of Fire.
Chariots of Fire. There you go. It's called Pope Pius XII.
Vampire Hunter. No, Werewolf Hunter.
Werewolf Hunter. But Pope Pius XII isn't in it, so I can't do it. So basically, you know, like Friday the 13th, like part 2, like sometimes, like for some reason, like they'll pick up the action. I don't understand why they do this. Like for the opening scene, they'll pick up the action from the last movie, and then they'll go ahead like a few years in the future. Well, what happened? I guess we're calling him Doc Martin now. So basically, after the brouhaha at the awards ceremony, Doc Martin and Jerboa decide to get a divorce, and they're in divorce court. And Doc is telling people that he had no clue that she was a werewolf. And she's like, "You freaking liar! You freaking liar!" And the flashbulbs start going, and she turns into a werewolf, and she rips out his throat. And in the audience, in the courtroom, is Olga, and she decides that she's going to pick up her career as a ballerina again. She, you know, werewolf be damned. And so basically, the dancer that she killed, I guess he couldn't stop twirling around.
That was like,
dude, stop twirling.
That was the best scene in the movie.
Stop twirling. And that's when like the first commercial hit it was like she goes to perform, and then the commercial comes in. He actually had a name, because I looked at Mikhail. That was his name.
What? Of course.
So anyway, much like an American Werewolf in London, his spirit starts coming back. And
nice.
Yeah, so like she's trying to do like her little pirouettes and her, you know, all her positions and all that. And like Mikhail will just kind of show up, but she's the only one that can see him. And he'll start spinning around, like an arm will fly off, and she'll run and get it and put it back on. Or like he'll like just do like the one-legged twirl, and the leg will break off, and he'll just kind of fall. It's kind of like a running gag throughout the whole movie. So basically, what happens is she, the regular opera goers are giving her a hard time, and the critics are giving her a hard time. And so everybody from the town of Flo comes and sits in the audience. And because the ballet establishment has been giving one of their own a hard time, they all turn into werewolves and slaughter all the critics and all the ballet patrons. And that is their revenge.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would actually make 100,000,000% sense as a sequel to this movie, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I could see that, like, that I feel is real.
Yeah.
And George would be in the audience, and they'd come, and he'd be like, "Where are you from?" And they'd say, "We're from the village Flo." And he goes, "Is that a reference to your menstrual cycle?"
Is that a reference to your menses?
I don't get it.
Can I explain? I feel like I need to explain that. I was thinking,
you
even
don't.
though
We got it.
werewolves, because the monthly cycle, like a werewolf, like a moon, that doesn't play a part in this at all.
Are you saying women are like werewolves, George? Come on.
Tim?
Come on. What are you saying?
Tim.
All right.
Tim.
Let me get to my... He thinks I said that once.
Yeah, you did. And you cut it out of the episode.
No. Can't prove that.
Yeah, you can, because you actually did a sloppy job and left references. Listen to past episodes, everybody. You could hear Tim hastily cut out him calling all women werewolves.
That did not happen. We're
terrible
we're
act of
canceled.
misogyny.
People in Australia hate these jokes.
We've lost all the Australia. We got to move on to Canada next time.
Here's my movie. Let me get to it.
All right.
So those two soldiers, those crack soldiers that crumbled as soon as they went into the woods from America and blew up. The son of
they blew up the giant puppet head.
Yes, the son of one of those soldiers. He wanted revenge on the marsupial werewolves. He grew up, and he took on the code name of Alexander Ernie Hamilton. And he sang about this one shot.
Oh my God, is this the story of your dad?
This is a musical. He sang about having his one shot that he wasn't going to waste. He was going to shoot these werewolves. Killed his parents, his father. He's going to get revenge on Jaboa.
I'm not going to throw away my one shot.
He saw classified documents and knew where they were, and he went after them. Meanwhile, the son of Jaboa took a false name to hide in America, as his government friend warned him that Alexander Ernie Hamilton was coming after him. So the son of Jaboa took a fake name in America. His new name was Aaron Burt.
Oh. I was kind of hoping it would have been Skippy, but anyway, okay, but that makes more sense.
Yes,
I think that's the actor's name.
They ended up hunting each other for years. Aaron Burt ran for public office, and Alexander Ernie Hamilton dressed as a cat and married a socialite and sang songs about memories. They often encountered each other. They had close calls, and then they would have to assume new identities and new looks to hide from each other. Aaron Burt changed his name to Ron Burt and became a small, baby, hairy werewolf because he was so damn good at shape-shifting, so he could hide. And Alexander Ernie Hamilton changed his name to Ernie Hamilton and had major plastic surgery to look like Yoda from that popular movie a few years ago. Eventually, they had a climactic... I don't know, I can't remember. Planet of the Apes.
Chariots of Fire.
Chariots of Fire, yeah.
Chariots of Fire.
They eventually had a climactic battle at the New York Stock Exchange where they sang... The climactic battle.
I'm sorry, Tim.
The New York... That's okay. Stock Exchange where they sang about funding another war against the British. They both got away barely, and then they both took the form of Muppets. Ernie could do this because it turns out he was one of them. He was a shapeshifter, and now he's conflicted about whether he should get revenge on this person or be friends with this person. After they escaped, they both encountered each other again. They both shortened their names. One was now Burnt, and one was just Ernie. And they realized they should stop fighting each other. They became roommates, perhaps lovers. I leave that for you to decide. Ernie now sings songs about Rubber Ducky, and Burt won't take baths because he feels self-conscious about his little tail. And they lived happily ever after And they meet another shapeshifter in their village called Elmo. But Elmo is a demon out for blood, but that's a story for another time. This movie's called Howling the Revenge. Yeah, sequel to sequel. It's called Howling the Revenge, or Alexander Ernie Hamilton. There you go. The end.
The end.
Tim, that was great.
That was good.
They were all great.
It was like... It's like even more confusing than this movie, though, because it's jumping around even more.
Yes.
Like 1 minute they're like in a duel, next second they're Muppets.
They're shapeshifters.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Let me.
Tim, I gotta ask Tim.
Ask me.
Is this why you sent me the picture earlier today on a thread? You sent the picture of Bert with his hair in front of that Gustave Courbet painting.
Why did that pop up? That just popped up, and I'm just like,
that was just coincidence.
That was boredom while I was trying to draw cartoons.
Okay.
If you want cartoon news, I sold a cartoon to the caption contest. So check out the caption contest and see if you can caption my cartoon in the New Yorker. It's online.
Wait, is it that one that you didn't know what the caption was for?
No, I didn't show it to you. I can't show. I can't talk about it. You know, you probably can't enter. Your friends and family. So
yeah.
I can enter
you
anyway.
can try.
I'll enter in your pseudonym.
I'll say I really don't like him that much. Friend is kind of a stretch.
Just write only in New York. That's the caption. Only in New York. That was a joke for a while. You put on under all the New Yorker cartoons. It was just like only in New York. That was the caption.
That's funny, Tim. That's funny.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, it's funny.
I think Cindy Adams in the Post came up with that. But anyway,
I don't know where that came from. Who's Cindy
That's how
Adams?
she ends her column all the time. Only in New York, only in New York.
Oh. Is she related to our second president?
I don't know. I don't know. I can look her up on Wikipedia. I don't know.
That's it. I just checked. I'm sorry there are no letters.
No,
damn it!
There are no texts from nephews.
It was a nephew, it was a cousin. Let's just Australia. This episode was for you. Please don't let us down. I know sending mail by Wallaby or Didgeridoo, whatever the hell you do, might take a little bit longer, but we expect to hear from you.
Yeah, email us.
And we expect that you, email us. That stands for electronic mail. Send it to us.
At Seddy Bimco, that has an E at the end, at gmail.com. We're on Instagram, Seddy_Bimco. I'm on Mastodon. I'm in Reddit. I'm in Good Pods. And by the way, on Good Pods, let me say this. Good Pods is a website. It's kind of like Twitter for podcasts. It's just all podcasts. I saw Hypothetical Island is in there. And I got an email from them. And under the category of independent podcasts this week, we were number 54, which I don't know if there's only 800 people on there. I don't know if there's 2,000 people in there, but we were number 54 in the independent podcasts. Whatever.
Congratulations.
To us.
Whatever
that
Congratulations
means.
to you too, George.
Thank you, Good Pods. Go check out Good Pods.
I'll tell you what it means to me, because I'm a negative person. It means there's 53 individual
people.
Ones better than us.
We have to murder.
I fucking hate them. Yeah, we're going to take them down one by one. Check back in 54 weeks when they're all dead and we're number one.
That's our revenge.
Like New York team. Who is number 50?
That's my revenge.
Who is number 53? We're out to get you.
I'm picking a movie for next week.
Yeah.
And you know what? I had 3 choices. One of them was directed by, what was his name? Herschel Gordon Lewis.
Herschel Gordon. Yeah, you love that guy.
And I thought
And I'm not going to watch that.
Okay.
I'll be gone that week.
I found another movie that was about an elevator, believe it or not.
Oh,
but
yeah.
That cost $3 to rent on YouTube. So I found one that's free on Tubi.
Yep.
Free on Tubi. Yep. It is called The Monster of Camp Sunshine. This is a movie from the 60s. And it is.
God damn it!
It's an hour. It's only an hour and 14 minutes. It's not a hippie film, though, George.
I don't care, man.
George,
I think it's that line.
George, I took a look at a few scenes. You know what it is? And it's a nudist camp. Camp Sunshine. Okay.
Is the monster a penis?
No.
Or just
it is pretty much most of the time, yeah. But
or just a really stretched out vagina.
And don't worry, it's not like a soft porn. It's just like 60s movie, like, oh, there's a topless girl. You know, that's all. It's not. Don't worry. I checked it out this time. I was like, I don't want to watch another accidental soft porn.
It's the Monster of Camp Sunshine.
Monster of Camp Sunshine, free on Tubi.
All right.
It's a short one, hour and 14 minutes.
Ugh, it's gonna suck.
It looks like.
It's that positive attitude that I love working with, George.
No, I'm telling you, anything in the 60s is bad. It's 70s or later.
Is that it? Is that good?
I think that's it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone. We love you.
This has been a Pity Party Line production.
Party line. It's a party line.
Miley Cyrus, shaved werewolf or unwrapped mummy?
She's a unshaved girl because she's a hairy celebrity.
She's just, I love you, Miley. That's all I'm going to say. I don't care.
Yeah, because we know Miley's listening.
She's underage.
Because we know
she's listening.
We know.
I don't care if you don't shave your eyes.
I got one.
What?
Paul Hollywood from the Great British Bake Off.
Oh, yeah.
Shaved werewolf or unwrapped mummy?
He's just shaved werewolf.
He's just a fucking werewolf.
Yeah,
that guy is a straight.
I was going to say he's just a werewolf. You know, his housekeeper has to unclog that shower drain at least once a week.
How about Mother Teresa?
Unwrapped mummy.
Yeah, I think so. Unwrapped mummy.
Yep. Unwrapped mummy.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.